Okay, Walter, then let's move on to this next section, talking about the actual principles and practices of a circular economy. So over to you.
Well, the circular economy is nothing really new. It's always been with mankind, and of course it exists in nature, water cycles and weather cycles. But even with mankind, it has always been with us, but as a strategy of poverty or to overcome scarcities, such as the famous proverbial expression, use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without.
Yes.
And when we moved into a linear industrial economy, and now at the end of this linear industrial economy, we are in a society of abundance and of overconsumption. So Asia is probably a place where many countries are still repairs and reuse is absolutely necessary because people don't have the money to buy new things all the time.
That's right.
But the circular economy is quiet, it's low-key, it's local. The actors are near their clients, so that's why many people are not aware of it. Whereas the linear industrial economy is very loud, it's omnipresent with publicity, with trucks on the road, container ships and ports. The problem if you want to promote the circular economy is that it's difficult there is no show of pieces like you go to a football stadium and you have all the publicity for drinks and for smokes and all that, which is the linear economy, which needs it because the producers and users are worlds apart geographically. So to come back to the circular economy, it's very important to realize it consists of two loops which are very different in nature.
Yes.
You have the reuse loop of goods, which is local, which is repair, remanufacture, technological upgrading of goods or components. And you have the recycling loop, which is recycling of wasted or end of service life materials. And that economy is much more similar to the linear industrial economy because you need big volumes and it's less labor. So very often industry tends, even politicians tend to go for the recycling because that looks familiar, whereas the reuse of loops is a different kettle of fish. And just using my Toyota as an example, over the first 30 years, I spent more than half the money which I spent on the car went into local services to repair and remanufacture the engine and the bodywork at some point. So the two loops, it's very important to distinguish also the factor time, because for short-lived goods, recycling simply is an illusion because you don't conserve the resources. But the societal advantages for the circular economy, which today are often not seen, is first of all it's ecologic, because its activities are local, low carbon, they use few resources and preserve water, energy and material resources which are embodied in the goods. By reusing a product like the car, so you save all these resources that originally went into manufacturing and are still there, but they are lost in recycling. It's economic because remanufacturing is cheaper, between 40 and 80% cheaper than producing, manufacturing a similar new good. And it's social because especially the reusing goods loop of the circular economy is very labor intensive, involves caring and stewardship. Actually, a link that was already thematized by Persing in his book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. On the macroeconomic level, the circular economy substitutes manpower for energy, and we have shown this on a microeconomic level, but it's only in 2015 that in a report which the Club of Rome, or one of the presidents of the Club of Rome, wrote, Anders Wijkman, that he showed that this is also valid for on a macroeconomic level for nations. They studied 7 nations in an input-output analysis and showed that in all cases it saves up to 70% of CO2 emissions, and it creates about 4 to 5% additional jobs. So it's a clear substitution of manpower for energy. The first person that was really interested in economics as if people mattered was, of course, Fritz Schumacher in 1973 with his book Small is Beautiful. But these things have never really been picked up. And why not? I think the main reason is that the circular economy is counterintuitive to economists. And so they are basically not interested because they know it can't work. And so therefore there are no university professors of economics that are promoting the circular economy to, for example, politicians. So again, the circular economy is very quiet and therefore poses a problem in promoting it to a wider public.
There's a couple of points you mentioned there, Walter, if I can just pick up on. I think the point about the circular economy works best at a local level. It's small scale and can create local jobs. I think that's of particular relevance to South Australia, and if it could be demonstrated that maybe a trial in some small community that the circular economy could actually generate more jobs at a local level, in addition to the other benefits you mentioned, like less emissions and but in Australia, South Australia, the jobs, unemployment is quite a severe problem, as it is in many places. So if it could be shown with some examples at a local level, using what you mentioned, the repair cafes, I think that concept I find it particularly interesting. So do you want to comment on that, Walter?
The circular economy is now being discovered, for example, in England or Scotland, as a strategy to re-industrialize the nation. Also because of the job creation, and especially if you are managing stocks, they have a very low homogeneity of technologies, a very high diversity of goods, of objects. So therefore you need different skills, and you need people with different skills. And it's one place where it's what we call silver workers, people even after retirement, are very useful because they still remember the old technologies and the old ways of doing it. The circular economy basically enables to create a low carbon and low resource consumption local economy. It's part of an intelligent decentralization, the same as additive manufacturing, 3D print,
Yeah.
or micro bakeries, micro breweries, urban farming, all these trends.
Yes, micro bakeries.
And there are hundreds of examples of actors in the circular economy. All the local workshops, car repairs, all the building trades normally do repairs and new construction. Second-hand markets, but also auction houses like Sotheby's or eBay on the internet. So the circular economy is already with us, has always been with us. The champions of repair are again all the people involved in maintenance, and the champions of remanufacture are normally a bit more hidden. It's mostly in the aviation industry and the automobile sector, reconditioning, remanufacturing components. And of course, all the actors of the performance economy selling goods as services are themselves, for very egoistic reasons, remanufacturing everything because of the cost advantage. As I said before, it's between 40 and 80% cheaper, and so therefore it increases your profits while consuming much less resources. But to come back to the noise level, you never see publicity about these actors. You hardly hear about it. Things like Rolls-Royce selling jet engines as a service, power by the hour. You may hear about this, but you don't realize all the activities, very high-scale activities, that are behind in repair and remanufacturing and also preventive engineering.
Yeah, I think that what you said about the micro enterprises, micro breweries, is to create jobs at a local level through the circular economy, and create opportunities for young entrepreneurs, so they can develop their own little businesses. And anyway, I think it would be useful to maybe not now, but explore that further with some examples. But I think that's very relevant. And the final point was you mentioned the low carbon. In South Australia, there's a move towards a low carbon economy, but it's not focused on the resources. It's more on the energy, direct energy, and not the embodied energy. So do you have any quick comment on that, Walter, please?
Well, if you look at a pair of jeans, it takes, I think, 10 tons of water to manufacture a pair of jeans. So if you repair your jeans and to make them last again, same service life, you actually save 10 tons of water. But you don't see this water. The same with energy. To produce a car, it takes about 4 tons of oil equivalent in energy. If you remanufacture a car, it takes very little energy. So doubling the service life of a car reduces the resource consumption, reduces the waste volume, but you don't see these things, or at the most you see it as a reduction in economic consumption, so in GDP. So the important thing is to make these things visible. and understand that every time you repair something, you have to know all the resources, that water, energy and materials that went into manufacturing this thing in the first place. And this is what you save when you repair and remanufacture it.
I think that's excellent. Make it visible. Thank you.
Thank you.